Why do we care about proper sleep? Proper sleep is a biological necessity. Your body has to sleep. Sleep or lack of sleep will affect your thinking, your memory, your attitude, your health. Lots and lots of things are associated. Health problems are associated with poor and disrupted sleep. Job performance, quality of life, and risks to others. This guy's a taxi driver. And I'm going to show you a video at the end about what happens to him because he's too sleepy to be driving, and he's a risk to others. Normal sleep, we go down through 4 different levels of sleep. 1, 2, 3, and 4, which have recently been combined to what they call slow wave sleep, and then REM, which stands for rapid eye movement. It usually takes about 90 minutes to cycle through those levels of sleep, and then most people will have a little arousal, a little awakening, and then they'll go back and start the cycle again. And it changes a little bit as the night goes on, too. The first part of the night, we tend to spend more time in stages 2 and 3, and the latter part of the night, we tend to spend more time in stages 2 and REM. We do most of our dreaming, and some people, you've probably heard people say, I get my best sleep just before I had to get up. And that's one of the deeper levels of sleep you're getting into, where we're getting a lot of the REM sleep, which is restorative to a lot of us. Where they get into discipline problems. We see kids that have been diagnosed with attention deficit and hyperactivity. And we're learning to look back at some of those guys and say, hey, how are they sleeping? Most of these guys here in this room have probably had some experience with kids where kids have been up all night or have stayed up too late, and they start getting real gripey and irritable, and they get hyper, and then it's like they're too tired to go to sleep. When kids get like that, they don't have enough sleep at night, and they get like that every day, then it starts to become a routine, and it's not recognized that, hey, they didn't get enough sleep last night. All we're recognizing is that they're getting worse and worse and worse every day, every month. And then they go to the doctor or the teacher or somebody might suggest that they might be hyperactive and they want to put them on medication, and that may not always be the right thing to do. Adolescents and teens, the sleep time drops down to about 8 to 9 hours. And because of the increased habits of social influences, staying up at night, playing the Game Boy, playing the computer, playing with the cell phone, watching TV, and then having to get up because of work or school most of the time, they're not getting enough hours of sleep. Insufficient sleep in kids and adults, low grades, poor work habits, poor work performance. Increased anger, depression. Most adults, we see it usually first with difficulty concentrating and memory loss. That's one of the first signs that we see of disrupted sleep. They also tend then to want to use stimulants. They feel they're tired. They feel they have no energy. So then they want to start drinking Cokes, eating candy bars. And this can get into a vicious cycle because then when they do go in to go to sleep, their body's not ready to go to sleep. It's still being stimulated. One of the things that a lot of us don't realize about caffeine, you drink a cup of caffeine, a cup of coffee or Coke, and the caffeine is peaking about 3 to 4 hours later. And then it has a half-life of about 6 hours. So if you had drink a Coke at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you've still got half of that caffeine stimulating your body when you go to bed at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Some people say, well, it never bothers me. Well, you may be able to go in and go to sleep, but your body's not ready to go to sleep. And it's still very easily aroused, very easily woken back up. And one of the things that we're trying to do in the sleep lab is we tell people no caffeine after lunch. You've got to start working off of that. Caffeine, tea, coffee, Cokes, chocolate, all of those have caffeine in them. Increased risk of injuries and deaths from inattention. right? You're driving down the road, you're drowsy, you're not thinking right, you're not paying attention. It takes that long, and you can get into an accident. And you're a risk to yourself, and you're a risk to others. And in teens and young adults, we see a lot of this problem right here. They're carrying around a sleep deficit. They're tired, they're not sleeping all the time, and then when they go out Friday, Saturday night and start partying and then start driving home, they didn't really think they'd had that much to drink. They may not even be legally drunk, but because they're tired on top of it, it kind of potentiates. They did a test, they did a study not too long ago where they took a group of people and they kept them awake overnight. And then they did a driving test. And of course, half of them failed the driving test because they were tired. They took the same group of people, got them legally intoxicated, took the driving test. Of course, they failed. One night's lack of sleep is equivalent to being intoxicated. Some causes of poor sleep. Number one we see has to do with snoring and disrupted breathing. The second most common we see has to do with what we call restlessness or periodic limb movement or restless legs, where you just can't seem to settle down. Your body doesn't want to go to sleep. You may be tired, you may feel tired, but your body doesn't want to be still and settle. Worrying environment. If there's a dog barking outside all night long, that can be disturbing to our sleep. And then I also wanted to move this one right up here too, because our sleeping partner is part of our environment. And for some of us, we may not have the sleep disorder, but our sleeping partner may have the sleep disorder. And if we're having to wake up every 20 minutes to elbow it, to roll over and quit snoring, then that's disruptive to our sleep too. Insomnia, the inability to get to sleep or the inability to stay asleep. And then parasomnias are things like walking and talking in the sleep, bedwetting, grinding teeth. It's much less common. We see it more in children, and it's in some instances it's not abnormal in certain age groups that grow out of it. But as we become adults, then we don't expect to see a lot of that stuff. When we don't sleep good, especially when we don't sleep good on a regular basis, it stresses us out. We get depressed because we're tired all the time. We lose memory because we're not able to get into and stay in that deep level of sleep where our brain puts everything away, where we can find it the next day. High blood pressure, diabetes, heart attack, heart failure, strokes are all associated with sleep disorders of any kind. Anything that's disturbing your sleep during the night, it's causing your body to react to stimulus or to what we call events. It's going to cause your blood pressure to go up, cause your heart rate to go up. If that's happening a lot during the night, you were telling me about 6 times in 6 minutes. It's kind of like somebody hitting him with a cattle prod every minute. And that's going to make your heart rate go up, and that's going to make your blood pressure go up. And if that's happening all night long, it can eventually, it becomes a chronic thing. Traffic, work-related accidents, and then all of this stuff can lead to early death and disability.